Eric Burgess here with Music Marketing TV, and today we're going to be checking out a free update done to Acoustica 7. It is the ability to remix a fully mixed and mastered song as if you had the original stems, or at least some of the stems, such as drums and vocals and so forth. So let's go ahead and let me show you a quick example of what I mean. Alright, so I have a track here. It's a very old track. I wanted one where I sing, and I do not have very many of those. They're old. The integrated loudness is off the charts, kind of speaks to how old it is. But there's some really interesting things in here. Let's go ahead and just hear it before I do anything to it, just so you sort of know what it originally sounded like. So this section here has some vocals, and then I want to go over to the drop just to sort of show you everything in motion, and then we're going to go and we're going to try and do some remixing to it, even though we do not have the stems here. All we have is the final two tracks. So let's go ahead, let's hear this.
Shooting stars fly above in the sky where you're meant to be. Gravity is chained to your core. Will you break the chain?
All right, and then we're gonna go over here to the drop, and let's just get a quick feel for what this sounds like.
Explore the unit.
So very, very cool. Now let's go ahead and come up here. And the way this works is, first you have to update Acoustica 7. So there'll be a little thing that says you want to update, click yes, it'll update, close the software, open it, boom, you're updated. Amazing, right? And then you go up to tools, and they're using a technology called, I believe it's called Splitter. Don't quote me on that, but they're using a technology called something like that. And it will open up the remix ability. So you click on remix, and if you don't have it, it will say, hey, do you want to download this? Click yes. Now you can use this tool. So let's really quick just experiment first with the remixing capabilities. So let's try over here, and I want to make the vocals louder, and then I'm going to turn them down. And let's just hear how easy it is to do that.
Shooting stars fly above in the sky where you're meant to be.
So incredibly easy. So that's the vocal part. Now you might be going, how easy is it to separate the vocals? Well, we have these different stem formats. We have vocal and accompaniment, and then vocals with bass and other and drums. And we also have one that also gives us the option of using a piano. If you're going to try and isolate vocals, I usually actually recommend using vocals, drums, bass, other, one of these two. If you just go straight vocals and accompaniment, oftentimes your vocals, depending on the processing and the singer and the nature of the song, it's going to change how easy it is to separate the vocals. And sometimes pieces of the vocals, especially reverby stuff, tends to get lumped in with the other category, just because synth and stuff live over there. And in this track, for example, I have very heavy auto tune on. I've got reverb that melds with other elements of the synth, lots of verb flying everywhere. So in this particular track, it actually would be quite challenging to remove the vocals entirely all on their own. For example, let me just show you what I mean. So I'm going to take the bass and the drums away, and we're going to just leave the vocals, and I'm going to take other and completely turn it down 24 decibels. Completely turn it down. And we're going to listen to it, and you're going to hear that parts of the voice, especially parts where the reverb is automated up or the voice sort of fades away. It very heavily just sort of disappears, because this is some pretty extreme filtering when we do it like this. So let me just show you.
Shooting stars fly above in the sky where you're meant
Especially
to
stuff like that right there.
where you're meant to be.
So because of moments like that, you might not actually want to get rid of it. You can actually mix it in a little bit. You'll get some of the other stuff as well. But if that is like something that you're like, ooh, that's kind of a deal breaker for like what you're trying to accomplish, you can actually bring it back a bit with the other fader.
Where you're meant to be.
So right there, that might be a good compromise. Now, if we come over here to the section where we have a lot more going on, let's just see if we can't get the drums. Let's just see. Let's just bring the drums up and down and hear the drums come in and out.
Explore the unit.
Let's go for bass this time.
Explore the unit.
So some pretty amazing things are available to us here. So what we can do actually is we can bounce out separate stems if we wanted to. And the way we could do that is we could just turn these off and then just hit process, and it's going to render it out to a track. So if here's just the vocal track, we'll hit process. It's going to render it. Just give it a little bit to render it. And we've removed the drums, bass, and others. All right, so here's the vocal stem. We can see the synths have made their way in a little bit, but if we go over here to the main vocal part.
Shooting stars fly above.
Now, what I would do is I would save this to a file and then undo this. So we'll just undo it. And then what we'll do is we'll just come over and now let's do just the drums and let's process that. And in this way, we can go through and separate things out into stems if you really want to get that intense. I don't know of a way right now to do this as a macro. There might already be one. I'm just not aware. All right, so here is the drum stem. And let's just hear it when the drums kick in. That actually sounds super cool. That's really cool. So that's the remix tool. Very cool. There's also a couple creative options that you have with this. Like you just heard that cool drum sound that we had. There's a lot of potential for sample mining. You could come in and get some really cool sort of atmospheres. And this is just going to happen as you screw around with the tool. You'll notice that you'll get sounds that would be really, really hard to get otherwise, just from simply tossing 2 tracks in of songs and screwing around with the remix tool. For example, here I have the vocal part, but I've taken out the vocals and the other and turned up the bass and the drums. And what I'm left over with is sort of this atmospheric sound that if I were to do further processing, EQ it a bit, maybe change the reverb and go after it with some chorusing or something, could get this really cool atmospheric background pad. Let me sort of just show you the raw output of what I would get. It gets a lot more shimmery near the end here too. Yeah. So some really cool organic sort of changing things that I could totally reuse in other tracks. And you can get this out of any track. You could toss stuff in and just see sort of what the filtering process would do to it. If you have any questions about this, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day.